My name is Alice Aedy. I'm a documentary photographer, filmmaker, and activist. And I guess through all my work, I try to have a social impact, but and that's the sort of core thread. But I explore, environmental issues. I go to the front lines of climate change. I've done a lot of work documenting the refugee crisis, and I'm really passionate about women's stories in particular.
Amazing, thank you. And what inspired you to become a documentary filmmaker and to tell these stories online? Because it's still so rare, and you've championed this, but for women to be at the helm of telling these stories, it gives such a different perspective, and it's still a rarity. So what got you there?
It's such a good question. You're right, it's still a really male-dominated industry, but in a way I've actually often found in the field, being a woman is a kind of superpower in the way that I can build relationships, particularly with women. I'm really passionate about human stories, and I think if I could write, maybe I would have been a print journalist, but for me, what I was passionate about is, the visual medium. So whether it's through photography, stills, or the moving image, I just love to tell stories, and I guess I've moved more into film as time has gone on, because in a way film can show the chaos and the nuance and the complexity of stories in a way that stills can't. But yeah, I just love visually telling stories.
Yeah, I think that what's really nice about working with you is that there is the added aspect of sensitivity and thoughtfulness that you don't always get maybe in some male shot documentaries, but equally I'm a big believer that it's not about your gender, it's just about trying to be the best. And I think you really were willing to showcase that, so that was great.
That is my job. You give me the amazing opportunity to travel with you, to see the amazing supply chain, to get to know the brand. You offer me a window into this world, and I guess it's my job to pull the heartstrings, find the human stories, find the humanity in it all. And ultimately this is all about human connection, and that was my job.
But what made you want to take on this project and be part of it? Because you are probably inundated at this stage with offers and have so much going on.
Oh, well, Laura, I in a huge way it was of course down to you, and we met, we had a drink, and you embody all the values that you're now building into your brand, and beyond that you are so incredibly passionate about it, and you painted a vision of that work, and I was so incredibly inspired by that. So it was really an honor for me to come with you, and the opportunity to see the entire supply chain. The film, the idea is from earth to heirloom. So we track the journey of a gemstone from river mine, from right at the source, all the way to the product, the ring that we wear on our finger. And for me, that was so compelling. I think the jewelry industry, which I didn't know much about, but I learned so much about from you, doesn't have the best reputation in terms of sourcing or its transparency in the supply chain. And yet you came to me with radical transparency. Come on this journey, show the world exactly how these products are made. And I thought that was really fascinating.
So the integrity of that experience was very important. And I mean, I think however much you describe the experience of going to a river mine and walking into the jungle, which very few people have, is amazing. It's until you see it, it's hard to believe. What kind of struck you the most about and going into a jewelry factory is also pretty amazing. What struck you the most about everything that you saw?
It was a wonderful trip. I'd been to Sri Lanka as a tourist. I think it's easy to forget Sri Lanka had a brutal conflict that only ended in sort of 2009. They have an amazing kind of blooming tourist industry now, but with you, I went way off the beaten track and got to see a side of Sri Lanka I never would have, and it was so beautiful, and just really to meet the individuals like Bhatia, amazing people that you have personal relationships with, and to see that was awesome. And as you said, yeah, I do come from a social justice lens. A lot of the stories I do are about human rights and equality, so I came with that lens, and I was so impressed by what I saw. Literally just being in the river mines, how incredible to watch the work that they do. It's such dramatic, visually so dramatic, of course, but to see the individuals at work was kind of wonderful. And that miraculous moment that you mentioned of finding the the sapphire. I mean, you
And you
couldn't
see
make it
the
up.
blue just glinting out. How did that sort of strike you versus some of the other stories that you've worked on with brands, etc.?
This was completely different. I mean, it is so incredibly rare, and it comes back to what you're saying about radical transparency. How many brands claim that they can't quite find the source of the product, or they can't tell you much about the supply chain? I mean, this was the complete opposite. To see you in action, to see the personal relationships you have, to see every single stage of the production. I mean, that is really radical, and I think it is the way forward. It has to be. This is the future of business, and I think you're pioneering it in that sense. So it was just incredible.
I think I loved it when Nisha said, which you captured, you know, I want people to feel proud when they wear one of our pieces because we put so much into it. I think that's really nice.
I couldn't agree more. As you said, there was the love and the attention and the care and the skill that goes in. And let's not forget, you know, and I hope this comes across in the film, and it's certainly what we wanted to celebrate, is this is about celebrating and honoring a huge long lineage of a Sri Lankan tradition. I mean, it's wonderful. And I was really moved by listening to Bhatia talk about this family tradition and his wife's family tradition. You know, it's to be respected and revered, and perhaps we have not given it the attention and respect that it deserves.
So going kind of honing in on the product, do you have a favorite gemstone after the trip? Jack, are you listening?
Oh, what a question. Obviously blue sapphire.
Do you have a design in mind that you would pick?
Oh my God, I don't. I need to think about it. I am not the kind of woman that would like has thought about the design, but you know what? I will. After this, I'm going to think about it, and I will make not so subtle hint to my potentially future husband.
Can I just tell you straight up, because I've been on the road with you, it needs to be covered in metal, and like it needs to be heavily protected and encased. So signet or bezel. Yeah.
I'm going to let you lead on this, Laura, because you've seen me before. You know what I need in my life. Okay, so we'll just leave it at that.
And then I guess lastly, you know, is there any one kind of thing from the trip that you would love to revisit, or a memory that's really special for you? And I'd love to also ask just kind of, what are your thoughts for the future? What would you love to do with Fenton in the future? You're still, you know, a Fenton friend. You're, I hope, going to be part of our journey, you know, forever, as long as the company goes on. So yeah, what do you look back and love, and what do you look forward and want to see more of?
I'm so happy to be a Fenton friend. As I said, you know, it's so rare to not only be familiar with a brand, but to get to know one in such an authentic way, go into the field, share that experience with you as the founder of this company, and then see the entire supply chain. It's a completely unique experience that I've never had.
On that note, I just want to say thank you so much. Working with you was incredible, as well as being a huge amount of fun. I will WhatsApp you after this call just to say hi, and I can't wait to see you in person soon.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I hope that I didn't only just bark orders. I can't believe you saw me in my full work zone. But yeah, you know, you've got to do the job at hand. It was such a fun time. I really appreciate it, and thanks for having me.
No, lots of love, Alice, and thank you for taking the time today. Kiss. Bye.